Hey everybody, I'm Bill Davenport with Anchored Market Ventures, and today on Tips and Tricks, we're going to be talking about how to be more productive and more successful at a farmer's market. We got 9 tips that, if you follow them, are definitely going to put you ahead of the power curve and make you a more successful and more productive vendor at the farmer's market. Our first tip for the year is practice. Practice setting up your tent, setting your layup out. I know a lot of folks necessarily don't have a yard, but most folks have a driveway. Put your tent up, put your layout out, and practice what you're doing. That's going to pay dividends in the long run. When you go to markets, a lot of vendors, they go to multiple markets. Not all markets are the same. You need to learn to read the room or read the market. What you set up at one market or the way you set up at one market is not necessarily going to be the same layout that you need at another market. What's good for the goose isn't good for the gander, and that comes to farmers markets. You need to read the market and figure out what layups. You might have multiple layouts for different markets. The third tip is learn to make a visual impact on your booth. You want texture, you want depth, so raise stuff up, create a little bit of depth on your table, change colors. You want different colors so that it's visually appealing. You don't want to just lay stuff flat and have stuff just kind of blend in together. So you definitely want to make a visual impact, and you do that by depth and by texture on your booth. Another tip, the fourth tip, is kind of what we've talked about before on our tips and tricks, is get vertical. Learn to raise your products up in your booth. By going vertical, there's that old adage, if it's high, it flies. It gets stuff into eye level, it gets it into the shopper's zone so that they can see it. And so in this coming year, really work on getting your products elevated up off your table. The fifth tip that we're going to do is show your prices. I know a lot of our stuff, when we have it on our tables, we have stuff marked on the bottoms or on the sides or the back, so it's not easy to see the price, but you're losing a lot of sales when that price isn't easily seen. A lot of vendors or a lot of customers are shy to go into a booth and ask for a price. So if you put that price so it's easily seen, you're going to increase your sales, believe it or not. So make sure that your prices are plainly visible and easy to see when people come by your booth. Another tip is don't be shy. When you see customers coming up to your booth, be present in your booth and engage them. Say hello, greet them. You know, a tip that I do is if I see somebody in a sports shirt or a sports hat, I make a comment. You know, it may be joshing them a little bit because it's a rival team or we're talking about the last week's game. Figure out how to engage the customers. When you do that, it breaks the ice, it makes everybody more comfortable, and that's going to increase your sales too. The next tip that we have is a lot of vendors do multiple markets on the same day, so they have employees. It is really important to train your employees up to what your standard is and what your expectations are. If you turn an employee loose at a market with your products and your tent and stuff, and you don't give them any guidance, they're going to run wild and they're not going to do, and you may notice the sales at a particular market are down, and it's not because of the market, it's because of how the organization inside your tent is from the employees. So if you have employees, definitely train them, let them know what the standard is and what your expectations are, and it's going to pay dividends. The next tip that we have is you want to collaborate with other vendors at the market. A lot of times we see it and we don't like seeing it, but is vendors of similar products or like products see each other as competition, and that's not the case. There's enough room for everybody to succeed together. It's that old adage, a rising tide raises all ships. That's very true in a farmer's market. So reach out to those other vendors and collaborate. Maybe have a gift basket with your stuff and their stuff, or hey, if you purchase from this vendor, you get 10% off from us. There's a lot of ways to collaborate, cross-posting, but learn to see those other vendors as assets, and it improves everybody. So definitely this year, make it a goal to collaborate with other vendors that are kind of close to your lane, because I promise y'all aren't competitors. Y'all are teammates, and it helps raise the overall success of everyone at the market. Our last tip is, if you're a baked goods person, samples. I know it's some extra cooking, a little extra food, so you don't think of it as, hey, I'm making profit off of those samples. But a lot of people, especially if you have something that's very unique, say you're making grandma's recipe, the way she makes her cookies, or she makes some amazing pumpkin bread or banana bread, have samples of that. I know you're gonna have a little bit of products, it's a little extra work, but by people having the opportunity to sample a product before they buy it, that is gonna greatly increase your sales. So make sure you do things right. Go over all these tips, and I promise this coming year in 2024, it's going to be your best year ever at the farmers market. So we thank you for coming out and shopping, and we can't wait to see you at the next market.